Apologies, we will get you back on at some stage, but Karen Webb, who is the Commissioner of Police in Sydney, is giving a press conference at the moment. We're going to go to that as soon as we can. We're just getting that feed coming in, and this is because of the 6 people who've been killed, several in critical condition, including a baby, and we now understand that that baby's mother is amongst the dead. That's a stabbing in a shopping centre near Bondi Beach in Sydney, and Karen Webb, who is the Police Commissioner, is giving a press conference. We'll come to that in just a second. We've heard from Sky News Australia that the lone knifeman engaged, we are told, with 9 people. He apparently murdered 6 of them, and the mother of the 9-month-old baby is amongst that number. Both the baby and the mother were stabbed in the Westfield shopping centre. That's in Bondi, which is in the west of Sydney. Karen Webb is the Police Commissioner. We're going to go to that press conference as soon as we can get it, and there's a lot that is happening here. The single offender had gone. We can go to the press conference right now. Here's Karen Webb.
Are there any questions?
What do you know about this 40-year-old man at this stage?
Well, I actually will hand over to the Deputy Commissioner who's acting for investigations about, we know a little bit about this person, but as I said, we're waiting to confirm his identification. And if in fact it is the person that we believe it is, then we don't have fears for that person holding an ideation. In other words, that it's not a terrorism incident.
Is that person a man who is known to you?
He's known to law enforcement, but we're waiting to identify him formally. But thank you.
You're confident that if it is this man, this is not a terrorism-related incident?
As I said, the investigation will be ongoing for many, many days, but there are elements that we understand at this point in time that don't indicate that. But as we move into the investigation and background this person, his home, his vehicle, his associates, we will only know at that time.
Do you know his state of mind during the attack?
No.
Was he intoxicated? Do you know?
We don't know.
If it's unlikely to be terrorism once this person's formally identified, is there any other early indications of what might have motivated them to do something like this?
Not yet, and it will take a thorough investigation. It will take time for us to go back in his life and history to determine that.
And is the indication that it was a random spree, or was it targeting certain people of gender or anything like that?
It's too early to speculate, but given the environment, it's possible that it's random, but it's too early to speculate.
Is there any relationship between the attacker and any of the victims?
Too early to say.
How is the baby going in hospital?
The last update I had that had been in surgery, and it's too early to say really, but it's awful. And really, the other point I want to make is the police officer that attended is enormously courageous, as were other police officers that have attended that Bondi area, and I spoke to them this afternoon when they returned to the station. But also many of the shopkeepers and people within the shopping centre that showed amazing courage and bravery. So it was an awful situation, and no doubt the people dealing with the trauma of what they witnessed, but it could have been much worse.
Majority of those victims women, did that play a role at all in the motive?
We don't know.
How is that police officer going?
I presume I'm done here, right?
She's doing well under the circumstances. As I said, she showed enormous courage and bravery, and she will process obviously that. She would need to be interviewed formally, and so we just talked about that she's okay, her family's okay, she's got everything she needs for the time being, and she will be formally interviewed tomorrow, no doubt.
Can you give a little bit of advice before she was called?
She must have been close by and was just the first officer on the scene.
And it's unusual, obviously she went in alone, that's quite unusual. Can you talk us through how that happened?
She's a very senior officer, and it's not unusual for a senior officer to be out supervising and leading troops, and so therefore she was on her own.
Have witnesses told you anything about, was this man saying anything as he was moving through the shopping centre?
Too early to say, and we will be providing regular updates over the next day and days. It will take us a significant time and investigation to work through this. It's a very complex crime scene. Obviously, 7 people have died, 6 people have been tragically killed. It will take us a long time.
Can you give us a little bit more insight into who this officer was as a person? Obviously, she acted very courageously, but who she was, her experience?
As I said, she's a commissioned officer, an inspector of police. So she's got seniority and experience as an operational officer.
More details about the interaction between her and the offender?
Sorry?
Do you have more details about the interaction?
No. All of that will come out when the interviews take place and when the investigators review footage and CCTV and all the evidence and piece it together.
Commissioner,
There are reports that the woman who passed away in hospital is the mother of this 9-month-old baby. Are you able to...
I've heard that same rumour, but I can't confirm that, unfortunately.
we've all seen the footage. It's, you know, a place that most people who live in Sydney will have been at some point. So I think it really hits home. What's your message to the community tonight?
Well, the community, like we do, should feel very sad about what's happened here, but they should have no concerns, ongoing concerns. We believe that this person acted alone and there is no ongoing threat to the community.
There was a lot of concern within the Jewish community when this first happened, potentially some of the victims were Jewish. Can you say anything about whether they were potentially targeted?
As I said, it's very early days, but there's no suggestion that there was anyone targeted, but that could change and we will only know that in time.
Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so that is Karen Webb, who is the Police Commissioner for New South Wales. We learned quite a lot, actually, from that press conference she gave there. Quite a lot of new information. She said that the perpetrator, who's now dead, of this horrific attack, it's in Bondi in the west of Sydney, Westfield shopping centre. 6 people are dead. She said that the person was known to law enforcement. She also said that the baby that we've been hearing about, she said she wasn't sure whether the mother was dead. Sky News Australia is reporting that the 9-month-old baby is, the baby's mother is amongst the dead. The police commissioner did not confirm that, although Sky News Australia is reporting that. The baby is in surgery at the moment. That's the last that the commissioner heard there. Karen Webb also talked about the very senior officer who was involved, who just happened to be nearby, ran in towards danger into the Westfield shopping centre. She called that female officer extremely courageous. She said she talked to her, she'd come back to the station, she's now giving evidence in terms of what had happened. Karen Webb also talked about many people who showed, as she put it, enormous courage and bravery in terms of what they were doing, how they dealt with that. We've seen footage, which I hope to show you at some stage if you're watching on talkTV, of someone who's just been called Bollard Man, who attempted to confront the attacker, the knife man, with a bollard on a set of sort of escalators as well. If we get any more information about that, we will certainly bring that to you. It's coming up to 9 o'clock in Sydney, and we certainly have we'll be going back there. We hope to speak to a reporter in about 45 minutes or so in regard to what the very latest is. But we've heard now from Karen Webb, who is the Police Commissioner of New South Wales. We've heard from the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese. We've heard from various officers and so on as well. And I think what we need to reflect on is just how traumatised Sydney is, how traumatised Australia is, and indeed the world by this horrendous attack on a Saturday afternoon. This is someone has been in touch now, a texter who says the Police Commissioner press conference is a masterclass in providing information, reassurance, leadership. What a contrast to how the scenario is handled in the UK. And I think that's true, actually, in regard to what Karen Webb said, the New South Wales Police Commissioner. For example, that horrendous story that Sky News Australia is reporting anyway, about the mother of the 9-month-old baby being dead. Karen Webb engaged with that and said, yes, I've heard that rumour, but I can't confirm it. That would have been dealt with very, very differently in the UK, for example. Lots of information in that press conference. Lots of people will be reassured by that. If there's any more on this, we will of course come back to it, and we'll return to it throughout the programme. We're hoping to speak to an Australian reporter in about 45 minutes time, but there's new detail coming out all the time. Quite a lot of new information there from Karen Webb, the new South Wales Police Commissioner.